You have multiple degrees, you understand complex concepts, you can analyze data and solve problems, yet somehow you're drowning in debt. Your credit cards are maxed out, your student loans feel insurmountable, and despite your intelligence, you can't seem to get ahead financially. You tell yourself it's just bad luck or circumstances beyond your control. But what if I told you that your education is actually working against your financial success? Freud discovered something disturbing about educated people and money. The same intellectual habits that make you successful academically are the ones keeping you broke financially. Right now, you probably have a sophisticated understanding of your field, yet you treat money decisions with surprising irrationality. You can write detailed analyses of complex subjects, but you avoid looking at your bank statements. You can solve intricate problems at work, but you can't figure out why you're living paycheck to paycheck despite earning a decent income. Your intelligence isn't protecting you from financial mistakes. It's enabling them through elaborate justifications and overthinking that leads to paralysis instead of action. Tell me in the comments, what financial decision have you been researching for months without actually making? I can see from your responses that many of you are stuck in analysis paralysis with financial decisions. But here's what Freud discovered about why educated people struggle with money. You've been trained to overthink everything, and money requires intuitive action more than intellectual analysis. Your education taught you that more information leads to better decisions, that research prevents mistakes, and that complex problems require complex solutions. But money management is surprisingly simple. Spend less than you earn, invest the difference, avoid debt except for appreciating assets. These aren't complex concepts requiring advanced degrees, yet educated people consistently fail at them because they're looking for sophisticated strategies when basic principles would work. You think your intelligence makes you immune to financial mistakes, so you take risks that simpler people would avoid. You believe you can outsmart the market, time your investments perfectly, or find loopholes others missed. But financial success isn't about being smarter than everyone else. It's about being disciplined with basic principles that work regardless of your IQ. Your education gave you confidence in your analytical abilities, but money rewards emotional, intelligence, and behavioral consistency more than intellectual prowess. Your stories reveal how analysis paralysis prevents financial action, but Freud discovered something even more disturbing about educated people and debt. You use your intelligence to justify irrational financial behavior instead of changing it. When you overspend, you create elaborate explanations about why it was necessary. When you avoid budgeting, you rationalize that your time is too valuable for such mundane tasks. When you accumulate debt, you frame it as strategic leverage or investment in yourself. Your intelligence becomes a weapon against your financial well-being because you can always find logical-sounding reasons for illogical financial choices. This is cognitive sophistication working backwards. Instead of using your analytical skills to improve your financial situation, you use them to explain away your financial mistakes. You're not lacking intelligence about money. You're using your intelligence to avoid confronting the emotional and behavioral changes that financial success requires. Simple people often succeed financially because they can't rationalize their way out of basic principles like, don't spend money you don't have. Your education gave you the vocabulary to justify almost any financial decision, which paradoxically makes you more likely to make poor ones. I can see from your comments that you're recognizing how you rationalize financial mistakes. But here's what Freud discovered about the specific way education creates financial blindness. Academic success trains you to value theoretical knowledge over practical results. In school, you are rewarded for knowing the right answers, not for implementing solutions. You learn to excel at understanding concepts rather than executing actions. This academic mindset carries over into your financial life, where you prioritize learning about money over actually managing it effectively. You read financial books, follow investment podcasts, and research the best credit cards, but you don't actually implement basic budgeting systems or automatic savings plans. You know more about personal finance than most people, yet your bank account doesn't reflect this knowledge because knowing isn't doing. Education also taught you that mistakes are failures to be avoided, rather than learning opportunities to be embraced. So, you procrastinate on financial decisions because you're afraid of making the wrong choice, when the biggest mistake is usually making no choice at all. Your education conditioned you to seek perfect information before acting, but financial success requires acting with imperfect information and adjusting as you learn. Your insights about knowledge versus action reveal growing awareness, but Freud discovered another crucial way education sabotages financial success. It creates lifestyle inflation expectations that outpace income growth. Your degrees convinced you that you deserve a certain lifestyle, a nice apartment, good restaurants, quality clothes, the latest technology. You see your education as an investment that should pay dividends in lifestyle elevation, not just earning potential. But here's the trap. Your expected lifestyle costs often grow faster than your actual income, especially in the early years of your career. You justify expenses as investments in your professional image or necessary for networking, when they're actually just consumption disguised as career strategy. Education also surrounds you with other educated people who have similar lifestyle expectations, creating social pressure to maintain appearances that stretch your budget. You compare yourself to classmates who seem to be doing better financially, not realizing they might be funding their lifestyle with debt just like you are. The irony is that truly wealthy people often live below their means, while educated people often live above theirs because they believe their intelligence entitles them to immediate lifestyle rewards that their current income can't actually support. I can see from your responses that lifestyle inflation is a real struggle. But here's what Freud discovered about the deepest psychological reason educated people stay in debt. You're unconsciously rebelling against the delayed gratification that education required. You spent years sacrificing immediate pleasures for long-term goals, studying instead of partying, writing papers instead of relaxing, taking exams instead of enjoying weekends. Your entire educational journey was an exercise in deferred gratification, and now that you're done, your psyche demands immediate rewards for all that sacrifice. Credit cards and loans feel like permission to finally enjoy life after years of restraint. You unconsciously believe you've paid your dues through education and now deserve to live comfortably, even if you can't technically afford it yet. This psychological rebound from educational delayed gratification creates a dangerous financial permissiveness, where you justify present spending based on past sacrifice rather than current reality. You're not being financially irresponsible. You're being psychologically compensated for years of educational self-denial. But this compensation mentality keeps you trapped in debt because you're trying to balance past deprivation with present indulgence instead of building future security. Your recognition of the delayed gratification rebound shows deep self-awareness, but Freud discovered another way. Education creates financial problems. It teaches you to solve problems with more education rather than behavioral change. When your finances are struggling, your instinct is to research, read, and learn your way out of the problem. You buy more financial books, take online courses, attend seminars, and consume educational content about money. But financial problems aren't usually knowledge problems, they're behavior problems. You already know you shouldn't overspend, that you should save more, that compound interest works in your favor. The issue isn't lack of information, it's lack of implementation. Your educational background makes you believe that understanding something deeply is the same as mastering it practically. But money management is more like learning to ride a bike than understanding physics. It requires practice, not just theory. The more you study finances without changing your financial behavior, the more frustrated you become because your intelligence isn't translating into results. This creates a vicious cycle where you seek more education to solve problems that require action, not analysis. You become an expert on personal finance principles while remaining amateur at personal finance practice. I can see from your comments that you're recognizing the education trap. But here's what Freud discovered about why educated people particularly struggle with debt. You're trained to view borrowing as normal and strategic, rather than dangerous. Your entire educational experience was funded through borrowed money, student loans, credit cards, family loans. You learned that debt can be good debt, that invests in your future earning potential. This normalizes borrowing as a tool for advancement rather than a last resort for emergencies. After graduation, you continue applying this borrowed money mindset to other purchases. A car loan to improve your professional image, a mortgage because renting is throwing money away, credit card debt for professional development or networking, opportunities. You frame these as investments rather than consumption because your education taught you to think strategically about spending money you don't have. But this strategic borrowing often becomes habitual borrowing, where you lose sight of which debts are truly investments and which are just lifestyle maintenance funded by future income. Your comfort with educational debt makes you comfortable with all debt, and your analytical skills help you justify borrowing decisions that simpler financial thinking would reject. The result is sophisticated reasoning leading to basic financial mistakes. Your stories about normalized borrowing reveal important patterns, but Freud discovered the ultimate irony about educated people and money. Your intelligence makes you overconfident in financial decisions where humility would serve you better. You believe your analytical skills make you better than average at predicting market movements, identifying good investments, or timing financial decisions. This overconfidence leads to active trading instead of passive investing, complex financial strategies instead of simple ones, and frequent changes instead of consistent habits. You think you can outsmart financial markets that humbled Nobel Prize winners, or that you can find opportunities that thousands of professional analysts missed. Your education gave you confidence in your ability to understand complex systems, but financial markets are complex adaptive systems that often punish intelligence and reward patience. The most successful investors are often those who acknowledge their limitations and stick to boring, consistent strategies, rather than trying to demonstrate their intellectual superiority through clever financial moves. Your intelligence becomes a liability when it convinces you that you can beat systems designed to be unbeatable, or that your analytical skills make you immune to emotional investing mistakes that affect everyone regardless of education level. As we conclude this exploration into why educated people stay in debt, I want you to understand something profound that Freud discovered. Your education gave you powerful tools for understanding the world, but money management requires different tools than academic success. Intelligence, analysis, and research are valuable skills, but financial success primarily requires emotional regulation, behavioral consistency, and patient execution of simple principles, the same qualities that made you academically successful. Perfectionism, overthinking, confidence in your analytical abilities can work against you financially if not properly channeled. Breaking free from educated debt doesn't mean becoming less intelligent. It means applying your intelligence differently. Instead of analyzing every financial decision to death, use your intelligence to automate good financial behaviors so they happen regardless of your mood or circumstances. Instead of seeking complex strategies, use your analytical skills to understand why simple strategies work and stick to them. Instead of trying to outsmart markets, use your education to recognize your limitations and design systems that protect you from your own overconfidence. Your intelligence is an asset when it leads to behavioral change, but a liability when it becomes a substitute for action. The goal isn't to think your way to financial success. It's to think your way to better financial habits, then let those habits create success regardless of how smart you are.